CANTO 2023, and I'm here once again with Mr. Denis O'Brien, the chairman of Digicel. Mr. O'Brien, welcome back to the Loop booth.
Great to be here again. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. So you had a great fireside chat earlier, and you spoke about a range of topics, one of which was the restructuring of Digicel. And, just for the millions of Digicel customers who are seeing TikTok videos and reading stories all over, could you explain exactly what is going on with Digicel and what's next for the company?
Well, the company now is in very good shape. We've reduced our borrowings and debts substantially with this new reorganization. And we have a number of new investors now that are on our share register. And we look forward to now going into the next exciting phase of Digicel.
And you are going to be a director on the board now?
Yes, non-executive director. I maintain my involvement in government relations, also the debate around fair share and a number of other things. So, but from an executive point of view, I don't need to work the way I have been.
Oh, so that means more free time for you?
More free time.
How are you going to use that free time?
I haven't quite figured it out yet, but when this all happens, when it's all finalized in November, it's the right time going into the new year.
Yes.
New Year resolutions.
Yes. And you spoke about, that the diversity of the board and new people coming in, that Digicel is going to be a much more dangerous company, more competitive.
Well, I think, there's there's a new zeal about Digicel. I feel it in the operations, talking to our CEOs and all our team in all the 25 countries. And, we're coming out of COVID. COVID's behind us, which is restructured. And, we're doing some exciting things. We've got a lot of plans. And to gain new revenues, gain new market shares, and new products and services.
Right.
So we're well positioned.
But one of the challenges that Digicel and other telcos face is definitely the issue of big tech.
Yeah.
And this is something you've been championing for years, talking about big tech. They need to contribute to the infrastructure, the development, broadband development in the Caribbean, and the whole issue of fair share. Now, for those who may not understand, could you explain how this impacts them? Because most people, they just want to pick up their phones and go online, right?
Well, it won't impact the consumer at all.
Okay.
At all. This is the relationship between us as a telecoms business and our other industry players and big tech. At the moment, 67% of our throughput on our network, all the data, 67% of all our data on the network is carrying other people's data like Netflix, YouTube, Amazon, Apple TV, all of these other services. But we never had a charging mechanism. So every year this is going up by 30%. And every year it's costing us hundreds of millions of dollars to expand the network for no revenues.
Yes.
So these big tech, for example, Netflix or Meta or Facebook, don't employ anybody in the Caribbean. They don't pay any sales tax. They pay no VAT. They pay no corporations tax or regulatory fees. So they generate about $5 billion of revenues in the Caribbean, and they pay nobody to anything. So we're saying, hey, if we're keep on expanding our networks and rolling out, you have to contribute to the cost of that, because that's a huge cost to us. So we're spending $250 million a year, $250 million on expanding our networks, and they should contribute something towards that.
Yes.
And I think that's now widely accepted in the Caribbean. All the ministers that I'm talking to, all the countries saying, yes, this is wrong. This is an amoral situation where you've Digicel and Flow and TSTT all paying taxes and employing people, competing against people who are based in Silicon Valley, pay no tax, employ nobody.
And I know the CANTO chairman spoke about the C6 committee meeting with big tech. What is the feedback you all are getting from big tech so far?
Well, all the Caribbean operators have come together. We've said, hey, look, we're saying to all the ministers of telecoms and communications in the Caribbean and the regulators, you've got to do this, because there's going to be market failure here. In other words, the telecoms industry needs to grow, it needs to roll out more networks, but there's no investment case. And there's other factors as well, because if you want to financing anything now, it's 14-15% interest rate, which is not sustainable. So, we pay 30% taxes, they don't. So we're really saying, hey, they need to contribute to network costs. This has nothing to do with the consumer.
Right.
The consumer won't be impacted. The only benefit of the consumer is that more of them will get broadband.
Yes.
Because we'll take that money and invest it in more and more broadband. But we'll also recover the costs that we've already put into the networks as well.
Yes. But I know that leads into the reparations, but that's my favorite topic, so I'll leave that for last. But let's go into Haiti.
Yeah.
And I know you've been on the ground with Prime Minister Holness. You've expressed, it's not just about business, it's about the people. And you
Yes.
seem to have a real fondness for Haitian people and a real, empathy and sympathy for what's happening on the ground. What is the solution for Haiti? How do we deal with Haiti?
Well, first of all, there needs to be a restoration of law and order. There is no law and order at the moment in Haiti. So gangs are roving around the country. They're kidnapping children, parents, people going to work, and then they're demanding money from families. Okay, so that is rampant at the moment. So probably somewhere between 50 and 75 people are kidnapped a day.
Wow.
By these gangs. So the police, unfortunately, has lost control of all the major cities, all the major roads, because these gangs are heavily armed. And, they are extorting money from the general population. They're extorting money from businesses. Anybody who wants to send a truck 10 miles down the road there's extortion on the way.
Wow.
So that's one problem. So there needs to be an international force, probably led by CARICOM, of which Jamaica is obviously one of the larger countries. And I think the Prime Minister Holness, has been a standout leader in this area. He said, we have got to find a solution to this. We need to work together with our CARICOM brothers and sisters to find a political solution to what's happening in Haiti. And Jamaica, remarkably has taken a lead position. My Prime Minister and invited all the interested groups, politicians, civil society, members that have been in the leading position in Haiti to come to Jamaica. And these meetings have taken a number of weeks ago, and now the United Nations in the last week has issued a notice to say we want a solution. We need proposals on what a multinational force
would look like
to restore law and order. Now, I could tell you everything about Haiti for a couple of hours here, but the next thing after that, there needs to be the development of a new constitution. A lot of the work has been done there.
Okay.
Because the existing constitution is unworkable. And that's why it has led to so much instability in Haiti. And then arising out of that, there needs to be a reparatory justice plan for Haiti and an investment plan, because Haiti does not have any money whatsoever. It runs its government for $2 billion a year. That's 11 million people. So health gets a couple of $100 million, education a couple of $100 million for 11 million people.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. And all of this is because when France were forced to give their independence to Haiti in 1804, they said you have to pay half your budget, your government budget, to us until 1960. So every dollar of money that the government got in taxes, which should have gone into schools, they gave 50% of it to compensate for their freedom from the French government.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely mind-blowing how unfair this was and how outrageous it was.
Yes, and the long-term implications of it.
This is part of Haiti's problem. It doesn't have any money whatsoever and survives on $2 billion a year.
It's crazy.
If in Miami today, if you took one of the smaller boroughs, they'd have $2 billion to spend on health.
Yes. And then you spoke about reparatory justice
Yes.
and how that could be used to invest into the economy. And that is basically the basis of the repair campaign that you announced last year. And here we are a year later. And you know,
A year wiser.
a year wiser. And you know, what I noticed over the last year, there's been so many conversations about reparations.
Yes.
You saw the Dutch Kingdom apologize, commit about $200 million. You see there's a heirs of slavery group in Britain. All playing a role, and it was on the cover of Time magazine. You know, so the conversation has been ramped up a lot.
I think we've hit a point in history where there's going to be a substantial move, and I think the United Kingdom, the European Union, members of the European Union, Portugal, particularly the Dutch, and France will all have to make amends for what they did. I mean, you know, slavery was probably the greatest human atrocity that ever happened, because it went on for 300 years. If you look what happened during the Holocaust in the Second World War, that went on for probably 7 years.
Yes.
And, 7 or 8 million people perished, unfortunately. But, if you take 30, 40 million people perished because of slavery, 20% of people that were brought from Western Africa died in transit to where they were going to be sold at an auction. So all of these factors, and I think there's a growing realization, and it's led by the CARICOM Reparations Committee.
Yes, of which you are a member now.
Well, we're cooperating and working together.
Right.
But that's led by Sir Hilary Beckles. But there's a real political will in the 15 countries that have been impacted by slavery historically for something to happen. And we think that something to happen is a plan for each country for reparatory justice,
right,
where money would come into their economy for investment in hospitals, schools, third level education, green energy, and this money would be paid over 25 years. Haiti paid 19 billion to slave owners and plantation owners. Jamaica paid 23 billion all the way to 2015. They got paid out by the British government, all of the people that were involved in slavery and plantation. So this is a modern day issue.
Yes.
Right? Only 7 or 8 years ago, people were getting money for owning slaves.
Yes.
And being compensated, and the wrong people got compensated. And when Jamaica, got its independence, the cupboard was left bare. So, how do you create a new state, build structures, build schools, build, an economic model if you don't have any money?
Yeah.
So, Jamaica and other countries have done a remarkable job to get where they are today, but they need a debt write-off, because debt to GDP is 70-80% in a lot of countries in the Caribbean. So they need a debt write-off, and they need new investment to diversify their economy from, say, being solely dependent on tourism and small agriculture to green energy, to fisheries,
yes,
building proper infrastructure, to solving the diabetes problem, to getting
the
more
NCDs.
children into third level universities.
Yeah.
So there's a whole range of things that could be funded over a 25-year period, which would go some way to reparatory justice.
And where's your repair campaign today? I see there's a new website.
A new website. We're working away. Our focus is to meet everybody in every 15 country.
Okay.
So every reparations committee, but every interested group, including Indigenous people, Rastafarians, every group that has a view on what reparatory justice looks like. So we've met 280 groups all over the 15 countries, and we've assembled all that information now. We're working with the University of West Indies to create the plans for each country, working with each ministry in each country, and ultimately when the reparatory justice plan is completed, we will get it approved hopefully by the reparations committee in that country, the government and the opposition.
And then you can start putting it into
and
action.
then we can go to the British government and the European Union and say, now here's a well thought out plan. There's no arguments about it. We're all together. We've listened to everybody's views. Okay, there's a united front here. Please fund this for the next 25 years.
Right.
Now, there is a precedent here because when Ireland, which was a very poor country in 1973, became a member of the European Union grant aided us to bring our economy up to the average level within the European Union.
Right.
Now it's way ahead of the average, okay? But part of that was funding education, tertiary education, funding STEM schools, funding university access free of charge, and other things, and infrastructure, fisheries, agriculture. Like, the Caribbean could be the organic basket for the whole of the United States.
Yes.
Because, you know, the vegetables and the fruits.
Because our food importation bills are ridiculous.
It's just phenomenal.
Yes.
So there's all of these things, but you know, if you want to get fruit from Jamaica to Miami, you need plants, you need proper transport, refrigeration ships. You need a whole system of doing that. So that's just one example.
That's very exciting.
It is.
So I am so glad to have the opportunity to do this again with you.
Yes, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you.